So while I was checking out the audio and video from part 1 to make sure that this recording environment is good, I did have to sit out the tables and then resit back in so that I wouldn't be kicked off. And I actually, in doing that, played probably 20 hands and ended up stacking this guy with pocket sixes in a situation where it's one of the few situations I think you can call a 3-bet to set mine. Certainly at 25 and L, at higher stakes, I think, even at 50 and 100 and L, there's going to be even fewer spots. And that's when you're A, got the button, B, pretty confident that this person from Chile has un mano forte, that is to say a strong hand, and we've got a third player from Russia juicing up the pot with the limp call. So being more than 120 deep, I think this is one of the few times you should be set mining versus 3-bets. Certainly there are other times, but you should in general not be doing it. And he bets pretty large. We've got a texture that turns could kill the action, and min raise just looks a lot stronger than this. So we end up getting it in pretty good. He's got 3 1/4 outs, and he doesn't end up getting that 1 1/4 out. So that's the reason this stack size is bigger than the end of part 1. Literally played 20 hands between these 4 tables just to keep the stacks as they are, even though table 2, table 1, 3, and 4 were just starting stack, and we weren't doing that well. I think, though, the session in table 1 will be instructive as well for that reason, because even though things don't seem to be going well, I'm not stacking donks left, right, and center. I'm just keeping in my zone, keeping in my headspace. It's really important in Zoom just to continue to focus on the moment and not some narrative of how your session is going. Good way to do that is to not look at the sessions tab. A good way to do that is to not think about or look at all in EV. You're just doing yourself a disservice if you're doing those things. So, you've probably seen me post that before in the forums, or talk about that before if you've seen any content from me in the past. I just like to reiterate it. I'm a lot happier, healthier, and better at poker because I turned off all in EV over a year ago. I have never looked at it in the 13 months since, with one exception, and that was when I tried to start playing PLO just because I was curious.
What's the matter with you?
So, in general, if you want to be healthy, happy, and not results-oriented, don't look at results mid-session. Keep your head down, keep in the zone, and don't look at all in EV. And we've done enough talking, so let's get back to the zooming. So, we had the opportunity to make some creative plays. At the start of the session, I made an overbet and a pretty thin value bet. The overbet was a bluff. Sometimes I feel like as Zoom wears on, this is the player we stacked who had kings, so I think we're just going to go bet big, bet big, bet big. I think betting on table 2 is better than checking back because there's not a lot of turns in which we can effectively call a turn stab from our opponent. Not going to do much against the squeeze. And I think we have a very easy bet fold on this river, so just going to go half pot, fold to a raise. I'm going to press on table 2. I think we can get worse to call sometimes, better to fold. 8x is good. I think that means he draws more often as a total proportion of his range, but we certainly aren't going to fold 10. He had 10-3 off, 10-3 suited. You see that sometimes. Easy set mine on table 4. You see that sometimes when you're playing the button, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Just easy spot to label this player a fish and fold and move on. Very, very easy 3-bet with aces. I've already forgotten the first point I wanted to make. Oh, okay, so the hand where I bet the flop on table 2 as opposed to checking back. Here is like an interesting spot. Could we fold out pocket 10s, pocket 8s, and pocket 9s? I'm kind of inclined to believe we can, and I think 95 cents is how much we got to bet to do it. And I think that's a spot where a ton of people just give up at 25 and L. Okay, now I remember both threads of thought that I wanted to get to. Here against a 35, I'm not going to stab. We have showdown value, but we don't have a great amount of fold equity.